Hello. So today I want to talk about 3 ways to show a growth mindset in your UX case study. So designing your case study can feel like a really daunting task when putting your portfolio together and applying to jobs. And if you do any research and look at other case studies out there, you might get even more overwhelmed. Some case studies feel like full-length dissertations, others are short with punchy visuals, and others showcase teamwork without highlighting what were the individual responsibilities. But at the same time, the idea of a case study seems pretty straightforward. Showcase your work. So it might sound strange to incorporate a growth mindset into your case studies. A growth mindset is when individuals who believe their talents can be developed through hard work, good strategies, and input from others have a growth mindset. They tend to achieve more than those with a more fixed mindset, which are those who believe their talents are innate gifts. And that's a definition according to Harvard Business Review. A case study is the perfect way to demonstrate not just work that you have done, but to show that you've learned from that experience and continue to grow and develop, bringing that additional perspective to your next project, role, or job opportunity. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Amanda Worthington. I'm a user experience designer and career coach, helping UX designers intentionally design their careers. And I do that through, I'm the host of the UX Hustle podcast. You can follow, we post weekly episodes all about UX career. I interview other UX designers about advice that they have in their careers and how they got to where they are. I'm also the host of the UX Hustle Summit, which is the only UX career conference, which we host every year in September, although that is changing next year. So make sure to get on the list to find out more about that. And so I put together 3 ways to show a growth mindset in your case study. So number 1 is don't shy away from mistakes and missteps. Part of the design process is pivoting when needed. We make decisions based on the information we have at hand. And when we're able to get additional input from SMEs or subject matter experts, research or testing findings, or even from development constraints, it's important to make new decisions. And if you can showcase your ability to pivot, that makes you a valuable addition to a design team. And the earlier we learn in our design process, the better. And showcasing these learnings show that you know what to look for and aren't afraid to make changes. Because the reality is that happens all the time in design projects. And so when you showcase that, you're telling people that I can handle a pivot. I can handle getting additional information and adjusting. Number 2 is share what you do differently. Not every project goes perfectly. Share what you would do differently. So not every project goes perfectly. And it's important to share how we might approach things differently in the future now that we have new information. And this doesn't have to be limited to design changes or process changes. It can include communication or timing for feedback, or even a different methodology that may have fit the goal better had you had the opportunity. Like sometimes we don't have the opportunity to do research or to get really specific with the users we're able to test with. Incorporating that, had you had the time or had you had the resources that you would have done things differently is important to shed light on. And finally, number three way to show a growth mindset in your case study is tell us what you learned. And don't be afraid to include other people. Whether you tried a new methodology or learned something new from a colleague in the industry, whether that's a fellow designer or a subject matter expert, share what you learned from the project and how others contributed. We expect designers to work on teams, so don't be afraid to show how you partnered with others and what your roles and responsibilities were. If you leave readers guessing what your role was and how you contributed to the overall project, will be left to fill in the gaps. And that isn't in your control. So if you're able to paint a clearer picture of what your role was, how you contributed, but also highlight how other people also contributed and that you use that information well, that's really great. So having a growth mindset can show employers what it would be like to have you on a team and how you can contribute to a positive team culture. It also opens up interviews to have interesting conversations and questions about what a project was actually like and how you handle real project conversations. And it opens up the conversation and allows you to ask how current teams handle some of those complications. So these tips can not only give an employer a better chance to get to know you, but also helps you get to know the company and the design team a little bit better. If you want to follow along for more tips, you can go to uxhustle.org and check out some of the resources there. We have the podcast. We also have a course called UX Portfolio Power Play that opens every quarter or so, where it's a 6-week group coaching program to help you incorporate a lot of these tips, not just in your case studies, but in your overall portfolio. So hope to see you there.